Motherhood is hard, and some people just shouldn't be moms. Now, before you go to the comments and try to get all mad at me, I want to talk about this Chappell Roan interview that just happened. Now, I was hearing about it from other people in other ways, and I want to talk about responses I've seen have been mostly in support of her, but I've also seen people countering the arguments that what she's saying is wrong. So I listened to what she had to say, like from her mouth, not someone else's. And I have thoughts. And my thoughts are she's probably not wrong. It is very possible that she feels from her connections, from her friendships, that is what she is witnessing, that she's witnessing people who are struggling. And let's look at the ages that she talked about. She listed 5 and under. 5 and under is when they need the most care, the most attention, they need your time, they can't be left alone. 5 and under are hard ages. And modern motherhood tells us that we have to somehow manage to have a job, take care of our families, do all the household chores, all of the things. It's all on a mother's plate. If these moms don't have partners that help them out, if these moms have jobs that are high demand and high pressure, if they're feeling guilty about being away from their kids to go to their job, or they feel guilty but not being able to do their job because they're with their kids, motherhood is hard. It's not an easy task for a lot of people, and there's a lot of modern things that make it harder. I hear people all the time be like, great, then mom should just stay home, or then you need to hire a nanny, or just put your kid in daycare. And if we look at all those options, one, they all come with a cost of some kind. We couldn't afford childcare. Even if I had gone back to work, my salary would not have covered childcare. But we can't look at childcare in terms of one parent's salary. We have to think about the whole unit. And my husband, honestly, doesn't make as much either to cover the cost of childcare. So I stayed home. I also had health issues. I also had other stuff going on. And now I have built up businesses that are helping bringing in income. They're flexible. They let me be the mom I want to be. But honestly, things still get tiring sometimes. And in those first 5 years of life, 4 years of life, 3 years of life, they need constant attention. So you have to put them in childcare where you know they're going to get that constant attention, where they're going to be cared for, where they're going to be safe. And that's not always the case in childcare. It's really hard to find quality childcare at an affordable price. Daycare is astronomical. Nannies even more so. And finding someone that you trust with your child is very difficult. So when she makes these comments, I believe her. I believe that it's possible because when we talk to our friends, we share the good and the bad. It is very possible she is seeing the struggle from behind the scenes. She is seeing what her friends are going through, and she's relaying that as a reason why maybe she doesn't want kids. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. She didn't come to a conclusion, and I don't think she has to. What she did say was the feedback I am getting from the people in my life who are young and have kids and are married and trying to balance jobs with kids and home, they are struggling. That is the core message that she was sending. Moms are struggling. And how many of us have been saying this for years now? There is not enough systemic support for moms to get their needs met while also meeting the needs of their children. This is especially true if that mom has her own set of needs, chronically ill, neurodivergent, disabled in another way, or her kids have their own special needs, chronically ill, neurodivergent, disabled in another way. All of those require extra social supports, which are currently under attack, mind you, which we didn't have a lot of before. And now people are already cutting things back and disparaging those people. But think about the message we send to moms in general. We send them the message that their time is not valuable. Their time in the home. If they're stay-at-home moms, we're like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom. What do you do all day? It must be so easy to be a stay-at-home mom. Why don't you have a perfect house? Why isn't a warm, perfect meal on the table every night? These are the messages we send stay-at-home moms, moms who don't bring in an income. And then we're like, well, why are finances such a struggle for your family? It's because they only have one income, right? It's because these families are relying on one income so the mom can stay home. Then we tie in women who work for themselves. They run their own businesses. We want them to run it the way men run it. We want them to be bringing in a certain amount of income. We still want them to be able to be there for their kids, clean up their houses. And for those of us that run our own business from home, we get some of the similar messages as stay-at-home mom. Why is it a mess? Why can't you keep a perfect house? You're home all day anyway. What are you doing? Add in homeschool on top of that. Add in any school choice. And we've always had choice of education in America. Like that has always been a thing. I don't know why we're having this silly school choice conversation right now. But if you had the money to send your kids to private school, you always could. If you had the stability and ability to keep your kids home and homeschool them, you always could. But we also have public schools to help us assist in educating our children. And that is what they have always done. That is what they continue to do. And so we get in these fights with mothers. Oh, homeschooling is bad. You're isolating them. They're never going to be social. Oh, public school is bad. It's just indoctrinating our children. Well, what do you think homeschooling is doing? Every person I know that has been homeschooled, look at me making a Chappell Roan type statement. Every person I know that has been homeschooled has been indoctrinated into something. That's not to say they were all right or all wrong, or that they were bad. It's just that every level of education has some form of, let me expose you to ideas. The problem is, what education is meant for is to expose us to a wide variety of ideas so that we can become critical thinkers, so that we can ask questions, so that we can challenge things that aren't right with the world. That's what education is for, and that's what public schools have been doing for us. They've been teaching us new ways of things. Do they always work well? Maybe not. But they do their job, and they're there for the parents that need those resources to educate their children so they can go to work outside the home. So we're sending moms mixed messages about education. We're trying to put pressure on them for how they feed their babies. So if we're talking 5 and under, we're talking so much pressure in, what is your baby eating? Are they formula fed? Are you bad mom for formula feeding? Are they moving well into solids? What kind of solids are you giving them? If you're giving them purees, you're a bad mom. If you're doing baby-led weaning, that could choke them, you're a bad mom. All of these mixed messages are coming at mothers. So I don't doubt at all when Chappell Roan says, every mom I know is in hell. I don't doubt that at all because I've been there. I've had those moments. I've had moments where I have felt so guilty about what my child is or isn't eating. My son is not great with proteins. We try. We give him what we can. And I could be bothered by that, or I could just work with our system and know that even if it doesn't make sense to the rest of the world, it's okay. But a new mom with a 2-year-old at home who is struggling with eating real food and has never done this before and feels alone and isolated because she sees other people doing it different or better or whatever, that's a whole other ballgame. So when she says, every mom I know is in hell, I believe her. Because 5 and under can be hard. Then we add in working moms, moms who work outside of the home. Let's think about the messages they're sent. How dare you leave your children for 8 hours a day? How could you do that? Your husband should be making more money so you can stay home with your kids. In what world? In what world do we live in that is a possibility? In what world do we live in where everybody out there can make that happen? Now, I build my whole business on helping moms who are building their own businesses or already like working on businesses. I work with self-employed moms who are freelancers and who are building up art businesses and creative businesses. I work with author moms who are using writing to help support their families. My whole program is helping those moms learn how to balance the work they do, the businesses they're building, the self-employment with having the mom schedule they want, having work-life balance, how they can have time for their hobbies, time for self-care, practical, not the woo-woo type, and how they can beat burnout so they can be balanced, so they can enjoy their lives, and so that it's a system that works for them. So I don't work a lot with moms who work too much outside of the home, but I do work with moms who are working businesses, and I do work a day, 2 days outside of the home. And my husband, either my kids are in school when I do that, or my husband watches them. And prior to that, I was only working from home for the last 5 years, because that's when my kids started kindergarten this last fall. So think about the messages that a working mom gets if she, you know, um, that it should be easier for her to find someone to watch her kids if they're sick, or if she uses up all her PTO. Oh well, too bad, you can't get sick because you used it all for your sick kids. Whatever it is, it's all these messages that a society is not supporting moms for what they need so they can support their families. And that's big talk for a lot of people who want to be family oriented, right? It's big talk for a lot of people that are like, oh, we should put our children first, but you're not. By putting mothers last, you are also putting children last. I will die on that hill. By putting mothers last, you are also putting children last. Mothers should have their needs be a priority so that they can focus on their families. So all of this to say, motherhood can be hard. And if you don't want kids, you don't need to have them. And that not in a bad way. And then I fully support you in choosing to be child free, because this is hard. This is something that you have to show up for day in and day out, no matter what society tells you, no matter what messages you're getting that you're a bad mom. No matter what, you have to show up day in and day out. That's what makes a good mom. The mom who is showing up for her kids, who is there for their emotional well-being, who is doing her own work to learn and grow and breaking generational curses. And so we also need to believe the moms who say they are in hell. And we can't throw back in their face, well, you decided this. Well, you chose to be a mom. You should have known this was coming. Nah, nope, stop right there. Time out. There's a lot of things that have happened since I became a mom that I was not prepared for, that nobody talked about, that nobody warned me could be a possibility, that I did not see coming. Nobody told me that after 2 back-to-back pregnancies, kids 15 months apart, that my body would turn on me. Nobody told me that. Nobody said, hey, by the way, back-to-back pregnancies can trigger chronic illnesses in your body. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me what postpartum rage would be like. Not a single person sat down with me and said that this is a real possibility and you have to have a support to deal with it. Nobody did that. There's a lot of things that happen in those first 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 years of motherhood that we don't talk about, that we don't know enough about. So if a mom is on her first kid or her second kid and they're really close together and they're both in young ages, you cannot blame her for feeling like she is in hell. Not to mention, a lot of us give up our hobbies, our interests, because we are inundated with kids' music, kids' movies, kids' toys. We don't have a second to ourselves. We don't have a second to breathe. Now, I intentionally build time into my day, and we haven't solely listened to kids' music in over a year. Do they sometimes? Yes, but there are also times where we say, it's mommy's turn to pick the music. It's daddy's turn to pick the music. It's mommy's turn to pick a show. It's daddy's turn to pick a show. Now, do we always pick shows that are family friendly, that we're not worried about what our 5-year-old, 6-year-old is going to pick up? Absolutely. But we make the choices based on what we are interested in, not just what the kids want to watch, so that we're not watching Vampirina for the 50 bajillionth time. We have those things set. But if you're a new mom and you haven't had this conversation and you don't see anyone else talking about it, it can be hard. So that is what I wanted to say. When she says those things, I believe her, and I don't think she's wrong for it. I do think that's not everyone's experience. I will say that. I do think it's not everyone's experience. I think there are women who thrive even in the early days of motherhood. Those newborn days, they're so great. They love the cuddles. There are moms who handle pregnancy so well and bounce back so easy. And that's fantastic. I love that for them. There are moms who've been waiting for this their whole lives. So when this becomes their identity, they are okay with it. They were prepared. They knew that this is what they wanted and it works for them. And I love that for them. But motherhood can be hard for a lot of us in different seasons and for different reasons. And yes, we can have it be both fulfilling and hard at the same time. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. They are absolutely able to happen at the same time. But we have to start believing moms when they say I'm in hell, or when they tell their friends this is hard, I have really bad days, I hate this, whatever. We have to believe moms. And we have to recognize there's a systemic problem here that's not giving them the support that they need so that they don't have to feel like they're in hell, so that the light doesn't have to go out of their eyes. Right? Like reconnecting with writing, reconnecting with reading, finding a new way to do art once my chronic illnesses were like, haha, your body sucks, was really vital for me to not lose who I was before motherhood. Because I am still her, I'm just now integrated with who I am as a mom. Going back to work this fall was a whole new level of reconnecting with who I was beyond coaching, which I love to do, beyond psychoeducation for teens and kids, which I also love. I'm not doing that right now, but I did love it even while my kids were young and I was doing it online. But going back to work as a therapist and revamping how I coach has been another level of rediscovering who I was before motherhood and reintegrating her into who I am now. So we have to believe them when they are giving these cries for help, when they're giving these cries for support, when they're saying this is hard. And we also have to remember she's listening to someone who is her friend, who is willing to share the hard parts with her, but she's not seeing the day in and day out. And that's okay too. So I think what she said was valid. I don't think it's always true for everybody. I think that it's okay to let her have her opinion and say, I don't know if I want kids. We have to give her the space. We have to give people like her the space to try to find out, do I even want kids? If you don't want them, you probably shouldn't have them. And we shouldn't be forcing people to have them if they don't want them. Because that's how we get a bunch of abused kids and kids with no parents and kids with neglectful parents and kids whose parents can't cope because they feel pressured to have children when they don't want them. If you're on the fence about it, you should have the space and freedom to talk about it. You should have the space and freedom to decide whether or not you want it. So if you made it this far in this video or this podcast episode and you are on the fence, take the time. Talk to people. Get a wide variety of opinions. Watch kids. Watch how you feel around kids. Watch how your life is and what you like about it and what you want it to be different. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to make that decision. And I know there's a lot of information right now in the media and in the world around us about why people should have kids, why we should force people to have kids, all of that. But you deserve to take the time to decide if it's right for you, if you're on the fence. If you already know you're not on the mom side of the fence, if you're already over here and you're on the I am child-free by choice side of the fence, great. I love that for you. I love that you've made a choice. I love that you know that that's your choice. And I love that that is where you are thriving, because you should not be forced to have kids if that is the position that you are taking, because life without kids can be fantastic. It's amazing. You don't have to make sure 5,000 different things are ready before you go out the door. You throw on clothes and you go, right? You get to fly off to wherever you want to go. You get to go to work. And if you want to work 70, 80 hours a week, you get to do it without worrying about who is taking care of your kids at home or any of that. I don't mind when someone tells me they're child-free by choice. I actually think it's great. I think it's great that they know that about themselves and they've made that choice, because there's much less chance of them bringing a child into this world that they cannot or will not care for. Because motherhood is hard. Motherhood is day in and day out. It doesn't stop. It just is. It's life. This is your new life, your new identity. It just is. And if we don't give women the space to discuss, do I want kids or not? And if we tell them when they do have kids, well, you chose this, so you have to be happy all the time. You have to love every second of it. And it shouldn't be hard. We are not giving them the space to speak up and say, this is hard. I need help. I can't do this on my own. We don't give them the opportunity to say, I miss my job. I miss working. I can't be home with my baby 24/7. Because we tell them that's not a valid take. When it absolutely is a valid take. When we look at families throughout history, there was always a support system. There was always community. There was always someone there to look after the baby, but also to look after the mother. There was always community there to help us rear our children, to help us make sure there was food on the table, to help us make sure that we were supported in supporting our families. And that is what we don't have a lot of here in America. So when someone tells you motherhood is hell, believe them. And don't blame them. And don't chastise them. Help them. Support them. Show up for them. And when someone gets on a podcast and tells you that she doesn't know if she wants to have kids because everyone she knows that has kids is in hell, believe her. Give her space to decide. Do I want kids? Do I not want kids? Will kids fit my lifestyle or will they not? Let them have the space to do that. And if someone tells you, I am child-free by choice, I will never have kids, I don't want kids, believe them. Listen to them. Support them. Don't chastise them. Don't say, well, you'll feel differently when you're older, or one day you're going to regret this decision. Let them have their life experience. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't affect you. It has no bearing on your life. Because motherhood is hard, and every single one of those takes is valid. Every one of them, across the board, valid. We don't get to undermine someone else's thoughts and opinions on this subject just because we don't like them or we don't understand them. Or what's more likely, from all the older generations, we want them to be just as miserable as we were. See, here's the problem. Moms don't want to be miserable anymore. We've watched it for generation after generation. And if you think moms weren't miserable back then, you haven't been paying attention. Moms don't want to be miserable anymore, and they shouldn't have to be. And not all of us are, mind you. But for those that are, they shouldn't have to be. And for those that aren't, they should be supportive. And for those that use all of this as a reason to decide, I don't want kids, or to say, I don't know if I want kids, we have to let that be. We have to give them the space for that. So those are my thoughts today. I just wanted to share. I was not planning this video. I just hopped on to share it. So this will go live. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back next time. I talk on this channel about motherhood burnout, how to avoid burnout, recover from burnout, and build a burnout-proof life as a mother, because I understand that motherhood is hard. And if you are like, there has to be a different way, it can't be like this forever, there is, it doesn't have to be, and I can help you. I do focus on moms who are running their own businesses or self-employed in some way, because that is the niche that I really know a lot about. But I help all moms. If you're ready to beat the burnout, build a burnout-proof life, and live in fulfillment and quiet the mental chaos, especially if you're a neurodivergent mom or a mom with chronic illness, my program is for you. Reach out. Links will be below. The links to my toolkit and my program will be below. My Instagram, you can find me there. But reach out, talk to me. Let's talk about how you can build a burnout-proof life so that you don't have to be the mom who says motherhood is hell. because I don't want that for you. So, join me next time for another video on the topic of motherhood, mental health, burnout, building a life you love, thriving as a self-employed mom so that you can bring in income for your family, have more time for your family and your hobbies, and just enjoy your life as a mom in the chaos of modern motherhood. So I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.